Hey, this is Don from Shop Methods. We're going to do a new video today. Basically, what we're going to cover is just creating a basic estimate, creating some labor, creating new parts, putting that all together, and getting it turned into a job to be executed, and then creating the invoice once that's done. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, and this is our home page. From our home page, we can easily create a new estimate by clicking the Create Estimate button here, or at the top on any page, you have a little wrench icon. You can create estimate there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to bring up the estimate page. And once that comes up, the first field the cursor is in is our customer field. So the way this works is if you have an existing customer, say it's like Kelly, start typing the name, and it's going to go out to the system and look and see if there's any Kellys out there that match it. Well, that's the only one we have, and well, that's not the one we're looking for. So let's go ahead and clear that out. And on the right side, you'll see add new customer icon. So let's go ahead and click that, and we're going to do Kelly Snyder, and let's put an address in there. Oh, got the address number. Oh, why? There it goes. Okay. Need to put an email and a phone number in there. So when you look at mine are coming pre-filled. That may happen to yours too, depending on how you have your browser set up. And that is my cell phone number. And we'll add that new customer. So what happens when you add a new customer is it's actually going to send a text message to the customer and an email, depending on your configuration, letting the customer know that, hey, a new customer's been set up. Okay? So Kelly Snyder has been set up. Now, if it's an existing customer, you'll have a list of vehicles here. Okay? If it's a new customer, you don't have a vehicle, then you need to add one. There's two ways of adding it. You can click this little speedometer like icon, and you can add it by either VIN number or by plate and state. You also can add the mileage and the color and any kind of notes you want to about that customer. But about that vehicle. So what we're going to do here is, so let's go ahead and put we'll go ahead and put a vehicle in here. So we're going to do it by plate. We're going to do this one, and that lives in Georgia, and mileage is pretty high, and it's silver. And these are all pre-filled because I've typed this stuff in here. So we'll look that up. So it's going to go out to the internet and find that plate and corresponding VIN number and pull that information back in. That VIN number is really critical if you're using Epicor, because without that VIN number, you can't get the Epicor information. Okay, so that Toyota Sienna is now in here. It will also go and pull a Carfax too when we put that in there, so we can look at the Carfax. For some people, this may not be applicable. Some of our power sports and scooters and other customers that don't use that. But here's all the different information from the Carfax. Okay, we're just going to simply click this return link to go back to our estimate that we're working on. That'll take us right back. But let's also say we needed to add like a trailer of some kind, and that's not a VIN number type thing or license plate. So we can put that in here. You can put a serial number in here, say P55, whatever. Say it's a trailer. It was made in 2005. It's a Trailer King. Model is RX 35, maybe. Who knows? No engine. It could have a unit number if it's part of a fleet. We'll just say, put that in there. Tag number, if you got it. And I'm just making that up. Color, most of them are probably black if you need it. Mileage, if you want to put it, any kind of notes. And then we'll just add that vehicle. Click the add. So once this gets added, you'll see for Kelly Snyder, she's gonna have two vehicles. Okay, so we didn't put a mileage in there, so it didn't come pre-filled, but it came with the VIN of that serial number we put in there. Tag, black. So we got the customer and the vehicle information in. Next is you got to assign a manager or service advisor We'll just do that here. And a technician, this is going to be the person who's primarily responsible for doing the work for the estimate. Yeah, you may have multiple people working on it, but just pick one or the primary one. This is, we're not going to do an Epicor task. This is, if you're using Epicor, you could look up job time and parts for this type of vehicle. We right now we don't have a standard job, but if you did, you could select the standard job and that would pre-fill. So we're going to give our estimate a name. We're going to do, let's do food truck build out. And the description is the same thing, but you can put more in there. 4, 5. Okay, so that's our estimate header. To add everything onto it, we just click this create estimate button, and that's going to give us the ability to add labor, parts, and any kind of fees, put notes in there, document what we're doing with pictures, that type of thing. Okay, so headers up here at the top. Next step is our labor. There's 3 ways of adding labor. Within our system, you may have a base labor. This is your default labor that you would use in your shop. And if you just click that little plus button there, it's going to go out there and add a line for your base labor. And it'll come in there, and we could say prep okay, and we could say it's going to take 2 hours to do that, and the rate's $55 an hour. So we save that one. Now we can also have other labor codes out there that we can add. So we can do a find labor. And what this will allow us to do is go out and find any labor codes that are already in the system. Our recommendation is to use the lower number of labor codes as possible. You really don't want to go create a new labor code for every little thing you do. Usually it's going to be like base labor here, this first one. Maybe if you have a charge a different rate for doing AC work, another different rate for doing prep work or alignment, so on and so on. So we're going to do paint prep. We'll do that one. And let's say we also are going to need to do some just electrical work. If you were doing a food truck and you needed gas labor and like to do the plumbing of it, that could actually be a different labor type if it was a different rate, or you could just do general. So we're going to add that. So we selected 2. We're going to add those to our estimate. So it's adding. Okay. Here we go. So we've got them, both have been added. They've been added with the default description. We can go in there and change that if we want to for support of there we go. Now, what you do need to do also is you have to put the time in there. So how long is this paint prep going to take? And you can, of course, put fractions of an hour. An hour and a half is not at 1:30. In our system, it's 1.5. Okay, so that's going to be half hour and a half. A quarter of an hour would be 0.25. And notice also we have spell check. So if we right click on that, we can correct that spelling. Okay, we go ahead and save that. And our price, as you build your estimate, your price here is displayed. So $139 now. As these things get added, it'll get updated properly. Okay. Okay, so we got our labor there. Now, if we wanted to create one for the gas, we can simply do create labor. Okay, this is going to bring up our create labor page. And again, like I said, you don't want to create a ton of new labors. You really just want a labor for each value or hourly rate that you use. So we'll do gas / plumbing, and we use the same description for both. And we'll say that we pay our mechanical guy $20 an hour and any additional cost in there, and we actually do this work for $75 an hour. And we're going to create that, and it's going to add that line to the estimate. Okay. So once we've created this gas plumbing labor type, we won't have to do that again. Next time it will be in there. So here it's been added, this 4th line here, and we'll say we're going to do an hour and a quarter. So 1.25. So that's an hour and 15 minutes. Save that off. Okay, so our labor is looking good. Now, depending on what you're doing, you may have a lot more labor on there, and you can build this out as you go along. Parts. So if we need parts to do all this work, two ways of doing parts. We're not going to discuss Epicor. That's Epicor. There's a parts catalog you can browse your suppliers online with. But we're going to do find a part. This is going to add additional new parts to this estimate. These are parts that already exist. You may have them in inventory, so we can say like, okay, we need oil. I'm thinking more of along car line, but say we need a 1040 oil, we need an oil filter, we need an oil pan plug. Add those to our estimate. Okay, it's adding those. Now with parts, it's going to add them with a default quantity. Of course, you can always change these. The other thing you can do is if you need to change these prices, if you look at these prices and the parts price has not been updated for a while, and it's really not 650, it's like 715 a quart. You can just change it right here, and you really need 2.5 of those. You can change that. Those will be saved off, and our price up here will be updated. We have 388.50, so let that save everything off. Okay, we're at 401. The other thing is we can actually create a part. So if we need maybe a gas regulator, so let's go in here and create a gas regulator for our gas stove that we might purchase from somebody. So gas, put that in there. Let's just say air and fuel. That sounds good. We'll say like medium flow, if that means anything. So the description, you can put a little extra information. Then you pick the vendor. This is important if you're using our purchase order processing, where we email your vendor your order for parts. So if you need to make sure you pick the right vendor for this part. So we'll just go ahead and pick, what do we got here? Euro Chop Shop. That sounds good. And then if you're doing that, you got to make sure you put the right vendor number in there. GR, and I'm just making all this stuff up. Default quantity. How many do you need typically for each job? We'll say 1. And how much is the cost to you? Not what you charge the customer, but how much do you have to pay for it? And we're going to say $55.95. Then we come down here. We have inventory settings. Do you want to track this in inventory? We'll say sure. Yes, check that. Next question, if you're using QuickBooks, do you want to send this part over to QuickBooks and have it track the inventory? We're going to say no. If it is an inventory part, also you want to say, what do you have any in quantity now? We'll say we already have one sitting here, and we'll put that there. And if you use a lot of them and you reorder, this is more like filters and smaller things, maybe cleaner and things like that. You could say, what's a reorder point? We'll just say 0 is our reorder point. And when you do reorder, how many do you typically order? We'll just say 1. But that, again, that's more for, if you're doing automobiles like oil filters, oil, bulk oil, and quarts, you can do that. Finally, what we want to do is we want to say, how are we calculating the sales price? We have 4 options. Margin, that's a margin markup. We can specify the sale price. We can specify an add-on. That's what we'll do here. Just do 20. Or you can specify a dollar add-on. Now let's just do dollar add-on. And say we're going to mark it up $15. Okay? So we'll save that. That's going to save that part. It's going to create the inventory record for it. It'll actually get all that set up automatically. If we had clicked the QuickBooks part option here, it would have sent it over to QuickBooks, so all the systems would be in sync. We wouldn't even realize it. So this is being now added to our estimate, and here it is, our gas regulator. Okay, unit price was, I think our cost was 55, and we added 15 to it, so it's $70.95. Okay. So there are parts. You can also, you can delete these, all of these if you want to. So if we don't want this generic oil, we can just click that, and that will be removed from our estimate. We can later add it back if we want to. So it's been removed. Our price went down. Also, so this estimate, when we created it, came with a couple fees. you can set up your system to have what we call default fees in your system. These are fees that you automatically charge your customer every time they come in. A lot of shops will do it for shop supplies. And fees can be done in two ways. Either they're a flat fee or you can do them as a percentage. So this one is a percentage. So it's 1982. So if we go and we change this from 2 to 3, this shop supply fee will go up because our combination of our labor cost and our parts cost is increased, and that shop supply. So what it's thinking is that we're doing additional work. So it went up to $26.91. But let's go ahead and let's back that down to just 2. And we'll watch this and it'll come back down from $26.91, and that's going to come back down to, what do we got? Okay, came back down to $23.36. Okay, so those are fees. Of course, you can add new fees or create new fees, just same ways you did your